Hello everyone, this is Jimmy and welcome to episode 37 of Project Ozone 3. Today I'm hoping to finish making our infinity catalysts, but I've ran into a small issue. Some of our compressors have been able to produce a full stack of output. Most of them have not. And it's actually been 2 days, basically maybe a little under 48 hours since I finished recording last episode, and some of the worst performers have only produced, 12. And yeah, so there's there's a lag spike for one, but there's a bit of discrepancy here, and I'm kind of curious. Well, I'm kind of curious why some performs, like some have spawned so much more than others, and I was curious about one other thing, which is how is our TPS looking? I looked at my console, and it's giving a lot of the is a server lagging, skip ticks, error message or warning messages. So when that usually happens, my go-to tool is lag goggles. Lag goggles is installed on the client in this pack by default, but not on the server. So to profile TPS, you do have to go and install it on the server. So step one is to do that. Anyways, step two, whoopsies, is to actually run it. So let's do a short profile just for now. A word of warning that the profiling overhead is significant. So it's okay for, let's see, hide that because I don't care about any of that, and analyze. It's okay for these numbers to be a bit over 100%, but not this much over 100%. Basically, basically everything you see here acts in series with itself, like with each other, and you have, your goal is to get it all done within the time of a tick, right? Which is let's see, which is a 1/20th of a second, units in microseconds. So that's let's see, a million microseconds to a second. So you have 50,000 microseconds to a tick. And what I'm seeing here is our two biggest culprits. Bear with me here, this is a little technical, but if you want, this is a very relevant skill in late game of almost every pack, where they make you do a lot of stuff. So we see that the biggest offenders are this tile multi-part. We have to figure out what that is. I mean, I know what it is, but we'll figure it out. And equivalent integrations. This one is easy to fix, so I'll leave it alone for now. But what I discovered is that the equivalent integrations mod, that's the mod that's providing like our warehouse. Let's say, we have however many of each of these blocks. Each time the EMC value that you have, so if you look, I guess I can't point to it, but over on the left, just left of my cursor, there's that EMC, minus X per second. That's measuring, or each time my EMC value changes, this mod has to go through and say, hey, how many of this item can he afford? How many of that item can he afford? Etc. Etc. And because I have, I use the Tome of Knowledge, it checks literally every item with an EMC value, and combined with the way I was doing some crafting, such as like these machines, I've since turned them off because I determined them to be the cause of the problem. But actually, hold on. Let's turn this back on really quick. Let's see. And actually, let me one second. All right, I turned off basically all uses of EMC on our network. If you look, our EMC value is now again, same place, left middle of the screen, is now fixed. So if I turn this machine on, not this one. If I turn this machine on, just by taking these out so it starts crafting again, we'll see that our EMC value should start changing soon when it starts grabbing stuff like, you know what, this was a bad example. Let's pick another machine. Which machine uses, what's crafting here? Yeah, basically everything that crafts here uses EMC. Let's turn this back on. And we should see that EMC value start changing. In fact, let's turn this on. Come on. This demonstration is working less good than I expected. It's because it's currently inserting items that like we have from other sources. So when it starts generating new items, that's when. All right, I'm gonna set up a little. It's gonna be a little artificial, but I set this up here. It's basically just an export bus on an item that I don't have in my inventory, sending it into a trash can. So while it's on, the behavior, we can even do a quick profile, we will observe to be equivalent integrations takes up a fair chunk of time. If I turn this off, and we should see that number fall to 0, although now that I've turned these on, gosh darn it, now I've ruined everything. Because now these are running. Alright, hold on. Alright, I waited a bit until these machines were no longer, they're not crafting anymore, or at least they're not using my EMC. And now it is again. Alright, let's, gosh. What is this missing? Anti-pork. We'll just give it one quick go. Anti-pork. Alright, now it shouldn't be using EMC anymore. That number falls to 0. So if we run our profiler again, while not using EMC, we can see that there we go. The event handler for equivalent integrations isn't on the list at all. So again, what I think is happening, I can't say with 100% certainty, is that each time an item is withdrawn effectively from this block here, this transmutation chamber, it recalculates all the items, and that's what's causing a significant amount of our TPS lag. Cool. So fixing that's pretty easy. We just have to not run systems like this that are constantly, withdrawing new items, and instead build systems like, let's see, like these, where this is only withdrawing compressed obsidian, which most of the time doesn't even come out of our transmutation chamber, and we let these energy condensers turn them into whatever we need them to be. So if I need more of these items at some point, how did you end up there? If I need more of these items at some point, what I'll do is I'll rebuild these 3 crafting tables, but I doubt we need it, because if we look at, let's see, they're avaricious items, right? Yeah, like 300k, 13k, that's plenty. Cool. So moving on, next problem we run into is why are some of these still so darn low? Oh, no. Next problem is the source of, if we recall, this tile multi-part CMP0. The easiest way to tell is just to, if you have, you do need admin on your server for this, or you need op, whatever, because it teleports you to it. But if you double click it, it'll teleport you and point you at the block. And here it's quite obvious it's the item translocator. You can also, when showing results, it'll put the number there. Ignore the color kind of, because like 72 and 3420 are the same color. Like 3420, that's almost 7-8% of your tick time. 72 is nothing. So yeah, what's happening is, for some reason, item translocators, even when they're idle, take up a lot of tick time. We can observe that here, and what's really killing us is here. Remember, all these translocators, I was like, here, let me hide it so you can see what they're actually doing. They're moving the items from our energy condensers into our quantum compressors. Well, yeah, they're each, oopsies, wrong hotkeys, show latest. Each one of these is taking, 1,000-ish microseconds a tick. Again, that includes profiling overhead. So in practice, it's less than this. But while once you include profiling overhead, we have like 80 some of these. I think it's 7 by 9, 63 of these. Yeah, that's basically all of our tick time. So we have to do something about this. I think my plan is to hide latest scan results, replace these item translocators with probably just item conduits. They're a lot slower, but end of the day, they're not going to be our bottleneck. The last, so I'll just do that off camera because it's a lot of clicks, and it sucks to be me, but yeah, I have to do it. Anyways, so the last problem we're running into is, I think some of these blocks are just being spawned at a different rate than others. And I tried something to address that. I guess I should have. I wish I recorded a segment before I tore it down. Let's head over to our farm here. So I've since the end of last episode rebuilt the farm a little bit. A lot of it was just experimenting. I'm trying to figure out. Ooh, mob spawn up here. All right, well that's still a problem I have to fix. I'm trying to address the problem of mob spawning at different rates, and I think what's happening is before, right, I had it all in one big tower, and the issue I ran into was you can even still kind of see it here. Sometimes the work buffer will fill up as if like when it's done spawning, but it won't immediately, like it's ready to spawn the mob, but it won't immediately spawn it, and that's because I think it does like a local area check. So if I show working area, if it counts too many mobs in this area, it'll be like, nah, I'll just wait a second to spawn mobs so that I don't crash the server. Very reasonable safety check, but when I was stacking all of these vertically together, it was causing some to basically not spawn. So now I've split it off into multiple different groups, and I'm hoping that this will this will increase our effective spawn rates. Rewinding a little bit to talking about systems that were constantly, buying items with EMC. This semi interface used to be configured like this, right? We were exporting solidified experience, and that was being sent to these magma crucibles and being melted. The problem was, multiple times a second, this was, going in and refilling the stack by buying more from the basically from the store, and that was causing a lot of our lag too. So between fixing the lag and now we're back up to 20 ticks per second, and addressing the issue of the spawns being blocked, I think our rates will be a lot higher. But there's still one more thing I think we need to do, and that's just for the singularities we need more of, basically the 20-year singularities. I'm just going to expand this farm a lot, and we're going to have like a couple hundred spawners running. I was told that you can wand of animation spawners. And they also mentioned that I can wand of animation these like ultimate crafting tables. I swear I tried some of these before and it didn't work, but I mean, that clearly worked. I guess this one doesn't work. So yeah, for some reason it works on some entities and not others. And I don't know if it's like there's a blacklist somewhere, but I'm kind of curious. Like, I think I tried stuff like the mob duplicator and a few others. I think I tried like a storage crate and it couldn't animate that. So I was like, all right, I guess it can't work on tile entities in general. But then, here we're able to animate our crafting table. Suppose there's an off chance that crafting tables aren't entities? Could that be true? No, because they retain their inventory. Yeah, I have no clue why. I don't know what the rules are then regarding what can and can't be animated. I guess the takeaway is try it. Worst case, it doesn't work. Alright, this here might be a bit tough to see, but as for what to replace all these whatever item translocators that used to be here, I think here they are. I was considering either the ME, or not the ME, the Ender IO cable. You can barely see it here through all the colors, or the thermodynamics one, the thermal expansion one using servos. I think it, I just did a quick check to test them out. So they're both of pretty comparable speed. This is what, like 2 stacks a second. This is darn near 2 stacks a second. The difference, I think, is negligible. So the only thing that matters then to me is performance. And at 1 microsecond a tick versus apparently 0, I think the difference is that the thermodynamics one does all their work in the event, like as an event, as opposed to as a tick tile entity. The difference basically is negligible. So since these are a bit easier to configure, it's a lot less clicks. Basically, I can just here, let's hide that so we can see. I use this to copy the ducks over. Make sure if you're doing this to use the opaque version, because I think rendering the items will cause a lot of client side lag. And then I just stand here and turn off all the connections and do it from this side, then do it from this side. Basically, if you do it from all sides, you should be able to hit every single connection. And ultimately do it from this side. And then I just have to put all the servos on. And lastly, there's a thing called like a red print. Yeah, a red print, which is basically the equivalent to the Conduit Pro. It lets you copy paste settings. And all I have to do is copy the redstone setting from high to disabled. Well, I replaced all of these ducts. They're all the settings are copied, and most of them aren't running, right? Because there's nowhere to put the item. Some of them are, because those are the ones I emptied out to like for our test. But I have some bad news for, well, I guess me. I'll rerun it just so that these are the latest results. And I think my gut instinct that thermodynamic, that thermal expansion was running their code not as a tile entity, but in their event subscriber code was right. Now that I've turned all these on, they're just as laggy as translocators are, just in a different way. So now that I'm done setting this up, I have to tear this all down and replace it with item conduits and extract speed upgrades. And the item conduits suck twice as much, because not only do I have to configure, no, I still have to disconnect all of them from each other, right? But I have to configure both the top and the bottom, and I have to put extract speed upgrades in. I hate this game so much right now. Alright, for the third time today, we've ripped everything out and put something new in. I didn't have to change it all to brown channel. I could have left it on green, but by switching it to brown, it's easy to see at a glance if I've missed anything. That's what I'm checking now, right? Because if I missed any, they'd be green. But it looks like I got it all. So let's, I haven't run the profiler yet. Let's, dear God, please, I don't want to take it out and fix it again. Alright, we're good. This is acceptable behavior. Ignore the fact that everything's red. Now, is there a number on these? There isn't. This one has 1. I don't know if not having a number means sub 1 or just, I don't know, whatever. Good enough for me. Hide that. And one other thing I want to check. Our overall tick time. So this does not have profiling overhead, right? But this, if you see that 30 milliseconds only accounts for entities, not event subscribers. So it's basically, there's like a almost 50% overhead in these numbers, and I think about a 50% overhead in these numbers as well to the profiler. So anyways, what that means is we actually have quite a bit of room to grow. And the next thing I want to check is how much of this is being used in simple void world. Very little. That is good news. That means that basically if I, even if I quadruple the amount of spawners in the void world, we will just be hitting our TPS ceiling, which is good because we're going to have to add a lot of spawners. Remember, if, I'm going to take a minute, I think, and see how many blocks we get. So right now we are at 3360. I'll be back in a minute and see how much that has grown. So it's been approximately a minute, and we're at 3387. Let's call it 3390. 30 a minute, which is 1 per 2 seconds. So let's see, 3600 seconds per hour, 1800 blocks per hour. At 1800, that's 5 hours per singularity. That's nowhere near fast enough. I believe we need, I think it's 1, or no, it's, let's just count instead of guessing. Per infinity ingot, we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we need 90 just to make our infinity block. And then we still need a few more of these, to make the various creatives, right? Like the various items take 1 or 2 each. Oh no, none of the creative items take these. But there are some of the creative items take chaos ingots. Right, the generator and I guess just the generator. Okay. So we need another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times. How many was that in the generator? 4. So we need 90 plus 44 total. 136. Yeah, at this rate, we're going to be here waiting for these for like a week. And I want to be done with this series sooner than that. So I guess each of these quantum compressors that are doing stuff that, I guess not Mirion, because I had a bunch of that left over. But all of these, I'm going to go ahead and add a couple more spawners for. I think the difference between the ones that have like 30 plus and the ones that have 15 were just if they're the top row or the bottom row of the spawner block. Anyways, I've expanded our total spawning capacity quite significantly. I think now there's 12 pylons of 8. 12 times 8, that's the 80 plus the 96 total. When before there were I was only using 4 anyways. Now I'm going to go ahead and I think I'll redistribute some of these mobs. Like, let's see, that one we need, but some of these we just don't need anymore, you know. Like, we don't need mobs of, you know, we don't need the ultimate blocks anymore. We already have 728,000 of them, and these aren't even used for singularities. So yeah, I'm going to do some cleanup and reorganization here, and then hopefully that'll make our mob farm more efficient. So I've divided all of our blocks that we were duplicating into 3 categories effectively. The top here are the ones that I want a lot of. The ones in the middle are the ones that I just want one spawner running, and the ones at the bottom I think are the ones that we no longer need to spawn. So stuff like, you know, all the things that we need maybe a couple hundred, maybe a couple thousand blocks of, not a couple 100 million blocks of. So anyways, my plan is with each of these that I want a lot of blocks of, what I'm doing is I'm taking it, heading down here where I set up a single spawner. And let's see. I am equipping some, these are empty imprisonment tools. I put this here and copy 1, 2, and 3. That makes 4 copies. And then again, just not a required thing, but I do like to keep these named. Little copy pasting. And then I set them aside in this other crate. And then I'm just repeating that process for each of these mobs. When all said and done, here's all of our the imprisonment tools. I think by my count, it's something like 79 of them. So we still have a few slots left open if we find, you know, various bottlenecks we need to address. So while setting up, you know, placing the tools into the spawners, I noticed something. The 2 on the sides seem to be running a lot faster than the one in the middle. And I think what's happening is actually there's the spawn area they check is larger than the working area, because as far as I can tell, the working area shouldn't overlap at all. But the 2 on the sides are never like pausing, but the one in the middle is pausing a lot. So I think I need to space these out even further. Right now they're 16 blocks apart, and they might check like 16 blocks in each direction. So yeah, that sucks. I think what I'm going to do is for now I'm only going to set up every other set. So like how can I make this most efficient? Yeah, I'll basically skip a bunch of the blocks of these or the sets of these duplicators, and just set it further apart and leave some unused. And in fact, turning off the middle spawner seems to have significantly increased rates on the 2 side spawners too, right? Alright, after scaling just about everything up, I think we're done here. So we have these mobs spawning in pods of 8, and they go all the way down to the end. Yeah. To support this infrastructure, we also had to scale up our essence production. So that's hiding down here. By the way, everything in this dimension is like super laggy. So I've had to work in here with this like 10 FPS whatever the whole time, and it sucked. Anyways, we have a lot more magma crucibles. It is extracting, right? Maybe these aren't configured right. I'll check on that in a bit. But anyways, we have a lot more magma crucibles melting down solidified experience, and fluid dictionary converters, just converting them over to essence. And yeah, all that supports the almost 100 spawners we have. So with that finally done, let's head back to the overworld and take an estimate of our new rates. So this one's unchanged. All right, let's take one of the ones that was the slowest before. I think we measured fiery before. I'll start it when it hits 7,100. All right, we're coming up on the minute here and there. So just short of 7,700. If we were at 7,700, that would be 600. So that makes the math very easy at 10 a second. 10 a second means we get 900 seconds per, which puts us at just about 4 an hour. That's acceptable, I think. 4 an hour means about 1 day's production. Gets us the, 2-ish stacks we need. Wait, 4 an hour, 24 hours a day. So yeah, like you get like a stack and a half a day. So now that our production rate, I think, is reasonable, why don't I start storing these not in, directly in the compressors, but I'll set up a drawer system here, and then we'll use that drawer system to feed into, very similar to what we're doing with this. But there'll be more than, there'll be, let's see, 81 slots divided by 4, 21 drawers. Oh, by the way, as far as tick rate goes, we are now right up against the limit. Mostly on account of, remember when I said if we scale it up 4x, we're right up against the limit? Well, it turns out that is indeed the case. And actually, let me check the console. You can't see this, but once we account for the stuff happening in the events threads, we are actually a little bit over our tick rate. But I think that's okay. We're like, let me see, over the course of 15 seconds, we lost about 2 seconds worth of time. So we're like at 80-90% efficiency. So here's the drawer wall. To help with organization and perhaps my sanity, my plan is to, this is 10 by 10, right? There's 5 double or 2 by 2 drawers in each side. So it's 10 by 10 in each dimension. My plan is to match the shape to this so that, I don't miss anything. And if I do miss one, I can reasonably easily figure out which one it is. So, we'll put coal in that slot and iron in the next slot and so on and so forth. All right, here are the last of them. And I've been listening to that quest complete sound go off for like the last 10 minutes while I've been doing this. There's a quest for basically a stack of every single one of these singularities. So most of the singularities, in fact, let's check the quest book right now. Most of them I do have a stack of, but there were a fair number, that I didn't, have a full stack of. Mostly these are the ones that come from the blocks. Yeah, so, oh, there's a quest for that. Darn it, I have to make one of these. Anyways, whatever. Well, I guess I don't have to do the quest. So here's our wall. It has one of each, or at least one of each singularity, which means we can now program our ultimate crafting table. Now, because there are, a few quests that I haven't completed yet, like the, Garfax, Barganite, whatever, I think I'm only going to craft one singularity for now, and I'll leave the crafting table automation off for the time being, just so that I can, when I come back later, I can complete those quests after these drawers have stocked a little bit. Whew, we got them all in here. I'm going to click this. I'm going to save this recipe, but not power this yet, and then craft this. So that way, when I power this later, I can just turn, well, I can even turn this on now. Auto insert, auto extract, and that. So, the ultimate singularity, and apparently, quest complete, 35 rack. So with this, we can, I guess one of them is not enough to make an infinity catalyst, is it? Yes, it is. All right, you know what? Let's make an infinity catalyst then. Let's do it. Our first infinity catalyst. Once again, I'll go ahead and save the recipe and craft it. And that may or may not be a quest. The quest is probably still blocked. Yeah. Okay, whatever. Our first infinity catalyst, one of many. Remember, I think I calculated earlier we needed like 150-ish. I also think I undercounted a bit because I didn't realize that, let's see, that we need a few more chaos ingots for the everlasting guilty mana pool. 2 more chaos ingots. So yeah, we're going to need somewhere around 3 stacks of infinity catalysts. So 1 of 200-ish. There's a start. Anyways, this episode was a little all over the place once again, and I guess the end game of most packs kind of is like this. So, you get what you signed up for. Oh, I forgot to replace the whatever. I'll replace that in a second. Anyways, I hope you like this episode. We'll come back tomorrow, and with any luck, we'll have enough catalysts made that we can start to really mass produce these and get into the infinity ingot. So I hope you like this episode, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.